Scott.
Here.
Mark is absent. Stephanie.
Here.
Dale is here. Can we get approval of the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Guys want to look over the May 19th meeting minutes?
The special meeting was missed when I sent them out last night, so that has been added here too.
Okay. I had it in my packet.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
It just
good.
wasn't on the, listed on the agenda.
I think it was meeting minutes, like as like plural.
Yeah, but that wasn't specified, but it was in my packet.
Oh, good, good. Okay, good. Well, then I double added it. That's what
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
did.
say, it was on the end, now it can be changed.
Yep, now it's in the end. I was looking for it in there. That's where it is.
Better safe than sorry.
Huh?
Better safe than sorry. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented and dispense with the reading.
Both sets.
Both sets.
Both sets.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the May 19th meeting minutes and the May 19th special meeting or hearing minutes and dispense with the reading.
I'll second that one.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll look over the bills.
In your bills, you do have one for Christian Chrysler. That is coming out of the sheriff's vehicle. That'll be taking that one over. That's for the sheriff's vehicle.
That show up?
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Wow.
So we wanted to get it paid for before she went and got it, but yes, it is here. In the past, we've done half one year, half the next. We didn't pay that one half last year because we didn't know what the price was. So now it's getting fully out of this budget.
How did we do that?
How do we do what?
How did we take it fully out of this budget when we?
I don't know if you want to amend the budget to.
We'll have to,
yeah.
because the budget only had for half the value, so we have to amend the budget to move that 20,000 or whatever, 25,000
Yep.
forward into this year's budget.
Yep.
And amend the budget then to reflect the total
Correct.
value.
Correct.
Yeah. So you can have those figures for us next meeting.
Sure. Sure.
So the full budgeted value for 2021 needs to be moved forward into 2022, and the 2022 budget needs to be amended to reflect that full value.
Perfect.
Have we closed out 21 yet?
We closed for the year, our books.
No, but I mean, we haven't
Ye-
sent it in, we haven't had it audited and sent it in yet.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
So that's gonna affect the closing of the books too.
It won't affect closing the books. It'll affect the budget papers that I already have out, but that'll be a simple.
No, it'll affect closing the books because that money has to be moved before the close of budget in 21. So now it will reflect $25,000 more spent. So it will lower the carryover in that budget.
Right, on the audit.
It has to affect both budgets.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep.
21 and 22 won't affect the budget we're doing now
Right, yep, yep,
because the money is gonna get spent in
right.
22.
Yep, yep. So this is just a note that I have to tell our auditor that we did do this, but after the close of the books, the physical closing of the books.
No, when you go back and you amend a budget, it's as if you did it before the books closed. Because once the books are closed, they are closed.
Right.
You can't go back and do business in a prior year.
Mhm.
So no, this is an amendment to the closing.
Okay.
We're short on our election budget.
No, you guys just budget for one line item in election and then I break them out. And so then I just usually put it in miscellaneous and then go through that. So we're not over the election. We're just over on that one election one, just so that then I know where it all needs to come out of for my own sake. You guys don't budget that thing. You just budget a whole lump sum and then I break it out into the categories that way. And so I wasn't sure where it all needed to go, so. There is a bill also in here for Lumber Mart, coming out of custodian equipment for $1,100. That'll take the custodian's equipment over by $100. Brian is here to discuss that with you guys.
Okay, the walk behind snow blower crapped out this year. And if I happened to be at a lumberyard, they had a new one in there, he just got it in, he ordered it last fall and it just came in. They're hard to get, so I thought maybe I should, the old one, the belts and all the pulleys went out of it. And if I could get a new, I wasn't planning on getting one in June, but may not get one later.
Mm-hmm.
The old one I got in '96,
How much would it take? How much?
1100.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems to be a problem. You go and try to buy something that you've routinely been able to just get on a whim and it's
Mm-hmm.
unavailable.
I seen it there, and I figured maybe I should try to get it before they get rid of it. And don't get one. I don't know what. I don't even know if I can get parts to fix this thing. I replaced all the belts 4 years ago, and all the pulleys are wore out. But then
Is it the same size?
this one here is maybe a little bigger.
Okay.
That's not me ringing.
What's that?
That's not me ringing.
Oh, I forgot. Mark said we could call, and he could call into the meeting.
You want me to call him?
Yeah.
He's probably in the tractor like I was.
I'll make a motion to accept the expenses.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the vouchers as presented. Is there a second?
All second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. I'll look over the monthly office reports.
Maybe I missed something. Did we vote on the snow blower? We can't do that. We don't, it's not budgeted. You can't vote on money spent.
Hi,
that
Mark.
isn't in the
Let me
budget.
put you on speaker.
Was in custodial equipment, it was overspent the account.
Right.
By $100, right? So we $100.
Okay.
So where will that money come from then?
Extra $100, you mean?
Yeah.
What can we, take some on something, I suppose?
Hello?
You're in.
Well, I
Can
mean,
you hear us?
that's the point. That's the
I
point.
know.
The point is, there isn't a big pot of money to go grabbing things out of, and until we start doing things the way things are supposed to be done, this makes not much sense. I know it's $100, but there's a process for this. The process is to protect the citizens from having their money spent correctly. And it might be a correct usage, but it isn't the correct format to do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, well,
Well, that's good. I mean,
just tell you.
we just went through an audit because we have to do things the way they're supposed to be done, and then we ignore the principles of the budget.
But you voted aye too for it, though.
It can't be it can't be voting for that. We were voted to approve the bills. It wasn't an approved item.
We voted to, as presented.
Presented.
But, well, you can't present something that wasn't in the budget. You can't just write a dang check and then say, well, it was over. I mean, I suppose you can, then I want it voted on again, then, because I'm voting no on it. That's not the way to do things, and if we keep doing things that way, where does it stop?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what's the process to re-vote something we've already taken a roll call on.
You just have to be amended. But I mean, you guys could vote whatever you want to do, but that isn't the way we should be doing things. And if we need to buy a snow blower, then someone should come in and ask beforehand.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
He
it was,
did. He hasn't bought it yet. It's not bought.
Okay, well,
It's-
then,
this is-
if it hasn't been bought, then it can't be in the bills to be approved.
This is so that he's getting it approved before he goes to
Okay,
buy it.
So it isn't in the bills to be approved then. So we're fine. We approved the bills as presented.
Correct.
Okay.
It's in there.
If then he either bought it or he didn't.
He's getting the permission to go and buy it. It's
Okay,
not here. We
so then-
haven't bought it yet. It's still there, but he's got the bill in here.
So that'll be a separate vote then. Then you'll have to vote on whether or not we give him permission to buy the snow blower, and then you'll have to find where the money's gonna come out of. And the money can come out of the general fund, the reserve and the general fund. So you could vote on putting extra money into the sheriff's equipment budget transferring it from the general fund, and then vote on whether or not to pay that bill. Then it follows then there's money to do it, and then nothing's overdrawn, and then it's done correctly.
Right.
So
So maybe you just want to do a motion to amend the budgets.
If you hadn't spent the money, that bill was never in there.
I thought that's how you wanted it done, is that you pay the bill or you pay it before you get it, right?
But you can't pay something that wasn't approved. So, yeah, I mean, you just said, well, we voted to approve it. You said, no, we didn't. It hasn't been paid yet.
You voted to approve it,
Right.
To purchase it.
to purchase it, but we haven't got it yet.
No, they,
Kind of like when we try to, people want to buy something, they put it in here, do we want to buy this? Yes
okay,
or no?
So then, if they want to do it that way, then go the next step. And somebody make the motion to
Amend the budget.
that budget
Yep.
with the money to cover for the snow blower and then vote on that.
Is that your motion?
No, go ahead. So you have to take the money out of the general fund reserve.
But you have to make the motion. You have
Why
to-
do I have to make the motion?
No,
Or somebody does. Well,
Well,
whoever
usually-
wants to do it. I don't want to do it.
Usually
What?
the one that does the.
I'm just telling you how you got to do it if you want to fix it.
Usually the one who actually makes the original motion usually has to rescind it, correct?
No, that motion can stay.
You know,
That motion's fine. Now
it
we need a
can.
new
Oh, if
motion
If you want
to
to
amend
make it
that.
easier, that motion can
Okay.
stay. You have to get the money into the fund to do it.
okay.
The custodian's equipment
Okay.
budget is
Over.
over, and we need money in it. In order to pay this voucher, we need money.
Money in the account.
And the custodian equipment fund is in the general fund, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So there's a reserve fund in the general fund. Vote to make a motion to take the money from the general fund, put in the custodian equipment fund. And if that passes, then this is done.
I'll make a motion what John said.
Motion by Stephanie to transfer $100 from the general reserve fund to the general custodian equipment fund. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Mark?
Mark.
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Now that account won't show a negative balance. It won't have to be amended at a later date.
There we go.
Very good.
Okay.
Monthly office reports.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
you.
Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
I can go buy it, man.
Go try it out too.
Make a motion to accept the monthly office reports.
He didn't give you a hand signal on the way out, did he?
No comment.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the monthly office reports.
I'll make a motion, a second, I guess.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Kelly, digitizing help.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We'll find out.
I advertised. I talked to Jamie and he said to advertise for 2 weeks, so I did that. And I only got one applicant, which was Chloe. So that is asking for, approval to go ahead with that. And if we could use that space, the
Tax office.
tax office space for that, yep. Again, there would be no interaction with financials. There's several different departments in the actual program. The confidential departments, she also would not have access to. It's just the recorded real estate records. That's the only department.
Yeah.
So,
Good experience for her too.
yeah, learning legal descriptions and understanding that, that you can use that in very many different jobs and
Mhm.
banks and law firms and counties and.
So you need a motion to accept.
Yes, according to the Griggs
Policy
County
manual.
Policy Manual, yep. employees of relations that cannot work together unless approved by the board.
Okay, well, I
So-
motion to approve Chloe to be able to work with you.
Motion by Stephanie to approve the hiring of Chloe Vincent.
And allowing her to use the tax director
Well,
office.
I do
think we
have an
kind of
extra.
determined that already, didn't we, that would be fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have an extra computer, so
Yeah.
it would be a one-time purchase for another user for us to use DocuPro, which I can take out of the document preservation. So that's really the only thing I can use that.
And that's where
Fund
this position's
for-
funded.
Yep,
Also,
yep,
so.
so, yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott.
Is there a salary associated with that?
It's just gonna be an hourly wage.
Right,
Yep.
what is it?
I spoke to, because I didn't know where to start, so I spoke to somebody who does the daycare, whose daughter works at the grocery store, and those were around $13.50, so I did 14. So,
Mhm.
That should probably be part of the motion. Setting the salary.
Yeah.
For the,
Yeah, we could do that. So, I'll make,
Do
so
you
you,
want to amend
Do you
your
wanna amend it?
original motion to include the
Oh, we already
salary?
had the, yeah, let's amend the original one to include the salary.
Motion by Stephanie to hire Chloe Vincent for help digitizing documents in the recorder's office at a salary of $14 per hour. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
aye?
Scott?
Aye.
Mark? We lost Mark temporarily. Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Wayne? You have pages for us?
Yeah,
Pages and
there's
pages?
pages there. Solicitation of views, Grand Fork District structure replacements. They're asking for your view, if you have any, on replacing structure in Highway 45 over Pickerel Creek. Existing structure is a 6x6 by 56 foot reinforced concrete box culvert, extended with a 6-foot diameter reinforced concrete pipe. And the proposed work includes either rehabilitating or replacing the existing structure. And it doesn't say it's gonna be any bigger, I guess.
Evidently, there's some plans in play that we're not aware of. What?
Possibly.
It doesn't sound like they're asking for our opinion
No.
about the structure, it's just about the detour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know, they can do whatever they want with the structure.
again, this isn't just, well, let's just build that thing bigger, or, they got something to plan up north, and
Mhm.
that fits into the rest of the thing that's going on there, so.
yeah,
But we just haven't been made aware of it, because we're,
very possible.
after all, it's going through our county, we don't need to know.
Yep.
Just my reading of it, looks like they're just, are looking for comments on a bypass or a detour.
Yeah, that's the way I.
That's what it is, yeah. So the only way to detour would be going up around through our County Road 2, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's quite a ways south to go.
And you got that filled in, County Road 2?
It's filled in, it's chip sealed up to both sides.
That won't be a little project putting that in, that's gonna be closed for long, cause I don't know how far it is
They're
from the
gonna
road.
take that out of there.
How far it is from the road bed
It's
down to
a
that
long ways
culvert, but it's
down.
probably 40 feet down
It's
there.
long,
I mean, that's a crane to do that.
Yeah. So
Has that ever run full?
You know, I've never gone down and looked, but it was really running, this year.
I've never seen it come up the bank. Well,
It's
of
gonna
course,
go
it's so
down
far
there, but
down
then-
there anyway.
When I went out and checked on County Road
see?
2 again to see the length of culvert. And there was 2 guys down there by that pipe on 45, engineers or whatever they were doing.
Have you ever seen that? On your travels back and forth along Highway 45 there's a big ravine there just to the west of the,
Langer curve?
no, the west of the Netta turn.
Oh, there, that one.
If you're going west, you know, and there's a big ravine and the water comes underneath it. Have you ever seen that? No, I haven't seen it.
Backed up? I don't think so.
Didn't jump out of the road for anyone.
No! I was
Because
like,
that's, if there's a 6x6 culvert they're talking about replacing, and we don't know why they're replacing it if it's never been full. But you drive there every day, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
perhaps it's something that's beyond our expertise.
Maybe,
No.
and they might put a bypass, you know, just
Right.
throw a pipe down there and
Yeah.
I've seen them do
It
that.
doesn't, we can't do nothing about it anyway.
No.
Any comments you wanna do, they have to be in before June 25th.
Just if we didn't want them to pound down Highway 2.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that would be the only thing, will we be compensated, for the travel on our county roads?
If they beat up number
If they
2.
beat up because there's gonna be pretty heavy truck traffic coming across there.
Yeah, a lot of traffic
I
there.
mean, 45 is a lot of traffic on that.
So,
I guess would our comment be if we approve a bypass rather than a detour?
good. Yeah.
I mean, County Road 2 is pretty fragile anyway.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't know
Yes,
if it
not
can really
very
take
thick.
loaded trucks going across there for
Yeah, because they're
however long
gonna,
this might take.
because they can come at 105, can't they, on the state system?
Mhm.
Yeah, no detour.
Okay. I can send them an email or a letter or whatever.
You'll post armed guards?
We could do that. We won't have any ARs.
Park the cab across the road
Yeah.
with a driver on it.
So that's that, I guess. Also been working with FEMA, and we had to get in damage assessment totaling over 9,000. It's not in the meeting minutes, but we had to have damages of $9,800 or whatever, and I put in Griggs County's at 52,000. I don't remember exactly. And had to put in pictures and maps and whatever. And so they said it's got to go through them going through everything, approving it, then it goes to Colorado, to the FEMA to approve. And once that's approved, then it goes to the president to approve the declaration. So they said it could be 5-6 weeks before we find out. But any township that has any damage or anything, take pictures and maps, and
When do we have to put them in?
as soon as you can after, the deadline I had was the 8th of June to get in over $10,000 or $9,000 for the damage, which I had in one site. So now there's a period where you can just compile your stuff, your pictures, your maps, any bills that you had if you did an emergency repair.
Return it into you?
Turn it into me, and I put it on the computer and send it to them. And I send them the pictures, and I send them
Has it changed? Do they don't pay for culverts, do they?
well, this is what I talked to the guy out of Bismarck, Russell Croce's. I said, it's kind of hard to come up with an estimate when we don't know what's gonna qualify. He said, as of now, we don't know what's gonna qualify, but put everything in that's a damage to your township or county. If you got a damaged road, put it in. And, because the rules might have changed, from last time.
Before they paid for culverts if they washed out.
If they're washed out
For
and damaged,
damage.
It's gotta be damaged.
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, you just relay them, put them back in.
Yeah.
If they're rusted out, then they wouldn't.
Yeah, I think we went through that before, where if it was age or normal wear,
Yeah,
they
it
didn't
would be normal
replace it.
maintenance to replace it.
And then did you have to do a stream crossing study on some of them if they,
I think you do.
because I remember our township, they wanted us to put in just a huge pipe in one spot,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah, see, we don't
decline their
even have,
time
we don't even
off.
have rules for that or anything yet, so
No.
just put a bunch of numbers together and get it in, but.
Anytime there's federal funding, it has to abide by this stream side process.
And I also got an email from North Dakota DS that says that President Biden made some legislation that any damages that were assessed for like the 2020, 2019, 2020, 21 disaster, the federal amount should have been higher percentage. Therefore, it reduces the state's percentage and it reduces the local percentage. So there's gonna be a check, it's gonna be a little bit, won't be much, but coming back to reimburse us. Reimburse the state, reimburse
This is for disaster, or
the disaster.
what disaster did we have in
We
19?
had, something happened late in December, I think, or something.
2020?
Yeah,
What were the?
or was it 2019 or 20?
Can you classify the election as a disaster?
Yeah. So there is a few.
Sam, can you turn your phone a little bit or something? I don't hear anybody talking unless nobody is, which I cannot imagine.
No, I'm here, Mark.
No, wait, put it over here. I'll put you in your spot, Mark.
This will be the change.
There, now,
It'll be the
go ahead, talk,
draft
Wayne, see if you can hear ya.
Valuations on the
Wayne.
commercial real
Hi.
estate
Is that, how about gravel?
and agricultural.
Yeah,
Do you put that into it?
put gravel in,
I think that's
You know,
what it
if
is.
it's
16%
washed off
to get it to
especially.
100% of the oil, let's put it at 90.
but they wanted the price. So anyway, enacted law increased standard 75% to 90% federal. So it went from 75 to 90% federal, and the state cost went from 10% to 3%. And then the local would be 7%, which I think we were 10, or 10 or 15. So there should be a check coming in. It won't be much, but something. Other than that, what else is it that I'm gonna forget? And I haven't got a lot of townships that have requested anything yet. You know, I've got 6, I think, townships that have, I've gotten some from some of it. I got some maps and pictures from some of them. And it's gonna take time because I gotta put it into this site tracker.
I don't think a lot of guys were very enthusiastic about
So
running out and
that
doing it.
16 is under that first hatch in the middle, on that side. Seems like it helps if we tap on that. Once, so you don't
Fixing
get the
something?
tractor.
Should we just hang up with
Just turn
him?
the steering wheel.
Do you think?
So,
Have before you said something that's not supposed to be on tape.
Very close.
oh yeah.
I think a lot of guys were busy in the field and they applied for that other,
Yes, there's a lot of townships that have applied for that other township
And they-
funding.
and they weren't willing to run around with their GPS and get coordinates on sites and
And you
compile
gotta
the
have GPS
information.
coordinates from the beginning and the end of your site. You got a culvert, you gotta have your GPS, readings from there. It's gotta have 5 digits after the point.
Yeah, after the start, the beginning and the.
98 point, blank, 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 5 times. Yeah,
You know, we,
not minutes, seconds, and
I know our township, we did, Corey did that on ours.
one does 6, but I did 6.
Your phone will do it.
Yeah, that's what he did, use the phone, he did that.
Won't be accurate, but.
Well, no.
And some people just
I mean,
go
it
on
won't be accurate to that.
global,
Potential.
so some people just go on global Earth and because that's basically what they're gonna use.
Yeah, but you just take your phone and location and it'll print it out. I mean, your phone's only accurate to within about 30 feet, but it'll give you the number.
So, I better get going, it's the next person up.
Next, we have tax equalization.
Chip seal should be done this week.
It looks, they were,
I see the airport road, not airport road, but the Hanford Road east is done.
and Binford was done, and
Okay.
Red Willow was done, they were just putting the heavy oil on them.
Okay.
Okay, have they painted?
No, not yet, they just put the oil on this one,
Yeah.
heavy stuff.
Yep, all right,
All
well,
right.
looks like a good job.
All right, thanks, Wayne.
Recess.
Could you send us a copy of that, and how much work we gotta have, or,
I can do that.
yeah, do that, send that away.
Yeah, recess, we need motion to recess the
Have an email?
County
No, I don't.
County Commission
and-
meeting.
And open,
Brandon does.
Tax
You can send it to him, Brandon, over.
I motion to recess the meeting.
Motion by Stephanie to recess the commission meeting and open the tax equalization meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by John. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion.
So the first order of business would be the townships and the cities, and accepting or amending their recommendations as to them. You can do that all in one group, or you can single them out.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept their recommendations.
If that's what you want.
Did you guys all review them?
Yeah, right.
Did you review it?
The recommendation.
Yeah. Okay.
All I can say is over the years, my philosophy has been that the townships should have the control over their
Good.
value of their property, so I've always voted to accept as submitted.
Yeah.
As a whole.
Because really, how would we, the only time we got into problems is when the tax director got in there and was changing them, and that caused problems, but as a whole, we've always accepted them as submitted, correct, Connie? Yes, yeah.
I make a motion to accept all the recommendations.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the recommendations of the townships and cities
Yeah.
as submitted.
Good job.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
You might want to add evaluation recommendations.
And
I think that's where we're, aren't we? Aren't we
Accept the
accepting
valuation.
Evaluation
Oh.
recommendations, yeah.
Okay, the motion should read to accept the valuations as presented to the Griggs County Tax Equalization Board of the cities of Cooperstown, Hannaford, Binford, and all townships as presented. Seconded by Scott.
Yep.
Very good.
Excellent. Oh, the second, he's got, yeah, okay.
It looks like not very many changes in any of the taxing districts,
No.
other than Helena had.
Who seconded that motion? I'm sorry.
Scott
did.
did.
Thank you. You're on the audit.
Oh, don't we need to vote on that, or did we?
No, we have to vote on it. I lost track of time here in my brain. Okay. Is there any discussion? I started to read. Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark? We lose Mark again?
Mark, are you there?
Yep,
Mark votes aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
So I think the other thing that we need to look at is a true and full value statement here before that. Because once we accepted the valuations of the townships, then this true and full value for the agricultural, residential, and commercial was prepared using those valuations. Correct?
That bottom number came from the sales ratio study.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
So it says indicated change needed to reach 100% value. So in the commercial property, we need to raise it by 16% to get to 100%. So we go to 90%, so we need to raise that by 6%.
Linda suggested from the state, after she did the sales ratio, helped me with that. She suggested don't touch the residential and just increase the commercial to hit 90%. Because you want them between 90 and 100. Technically, the best would be 95, because then you're like smack in the middle. That's where you really want everybody to be.
We've always put them at 90%.
I understand. But
Yeah.
she also stated that technically, whatever you move on one, you're supposed to move on the both. Like if you move both up, one up, you're supposed to move both up. And since you're supposed to move down, move both down.
No, we
But-
put them all to 90%. So that you would put every one of them to 90%.
I would. Well, her suggestion is to not move it to 90%. Her suggestion is to leave it at 92.
She thinks in the middle of the range is what.
What's your words?
Yep, bring this one up to 90%, bring the commercial 90%, and leave the residential alone since that's in the middle range.
What's the purpose of that?
That's her recommendation.
I know, but she doesn't she is not on the equalization board. She has,
No, but we've always kept
When-
it as low as we can, and they are suggesting we keep it in
Mid-range.
in the middle.
If you hit 90, just leave it at 90s.
Well, you have to do that, right, so in order to make all these 90, you would increase the commercial by 6, you would decrease the residential by 2, and you would decrease the agricultural by 5. So
With the sales ratio study, the egg, you don't do anything with, but this is different.
no, but
Sorry.
the ag is in,
Yeah.
here, so that would put everything fair and equal at 90%.
Anyway, you'd have to add 5% to get it to 100, so the ag would have to go down.
Correct, so if you had to add 16% to get it to 100, the commercial would go up by 6%.
Mhm.
The residential would go down by 2%, and the ag land would go down by 5% to put everything at 90.
Residential needs to go down by 2,
Correct,
yeah, to get it to 90.
right.
Yeah.
So if a city is keeping the mill levies the same, which it seemed to do, this would give a slight reduction in taxes to the homeowners in Griggs County. It would increase slightly the commercial property owners, and the agricultural property would decrease by a little bit.
Yeah.
And it follows the guidelines we've had forever, and I understand the 95% recommendation, but we've asked over and over and over again, is the basis behind the recommendation? And they said, no, it's just a recommendation.
Yeah, that's,
Well, if it doesn't make any sense, why recommend it? And again, to follow principle, we've always done 90%. Well, sometimes we did 90 and a half because we weren't too sure how close we get to that limit, but we've proven that we can go at 90%, then it's accepted.
The minimum is 90%, right?
Right.
By state century code, correct? Or whatever, I mean.
Yeah. See,
So last year, we're in ag, we're at 90.5, is that correct?
we stayed,
Or
90.05. Well, real point, 90, not 90 and not 95%.
No, I mean, not 90, I'm saying
Yeah,
90 and a
yeah.
half.
Right.
yeah.
I mean, not 90 point, yeah, not 95, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, 90 and
0.05.
1.5%.
Correct,
There we
that's
go.
what I'm saying, that's what we were at last year.
So, I mean, if you want to go to 90.05 on all of them, that's fine, but it's just easier to go to 90%, and that's where they've always tried to stay at. And again, that will just give, if the mill levy stays the same, because they seem to levy in mills rather than in dollars, that would give a slight tax decrease to residential and agricultural, and it would raise commercial properties by 6%.
We need a motion for that so we can move things along.
Well,
Yes.
I'm just explaining it, yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah.
But this is,
Johnny, to make a motion for that since that's what you want. You
My-
probably should make a
know how
motion
I'm-
for
you know how I'm
something.
gonna vote, you guys can, whatever you guys want to do.
so this affects, like, the agricultural goes to 90, okay. So what did we do last year this time? Same thing?
Yeah.
We've always moved it toward, so last year, just I remember the commercial was at 93%.
Correct.
And we moved it to 90%.
No, it wasn't.
One of them was at 100 because we
Yeah.
had a little oversight the year before and forgot to change
Yeah.
it.
We've always shot for the minimum because that,
Why take more
Why
from
take
people
more
than
than
we
you-
than
than
is
you need?
required?
What this is saying is that comparable for the sale price to what its
Valuation.
valuation is, how close we were on there.
Yeah.
So on the commercial side, we were 86% of the sales that happened were close to their evaluations. And the same with the residential, the sales 92% and the evaluations were pretty close to
Pretty
equal on
good.
that.
Yeah.
And you want to be up in the 90s. You at least want the evaluation of their property and the sales to be pretty close.
Pretty close.
actually what it's saying is that the sales on the commercial property were
Or
higher
than the assessed value.
than the assessed value, and in order to move the assessed value up to match the sales of the property, you have to raise it by 16%.
You have to assess those properties at a
And-
higher value.
And what it's saying on the residential is those sales ratio studies, the value was actually a little bit lower. And now in order to get the assessed property down to the same value, you have to lower it.
So an
But
aggregate.
keep in mind, if the state always has the ability to come in, because they're the final equalization, so they don't equalize each one of these categories, they equalize the whole county. So the state can come in and say, no, this value of the county in overall has to come up or down. They never go down.
So the residential properties in Griggs County sold for a little less than their assessed value.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the commercial properties, the ones that were sold for a little more than the other assessed properties, so that means that those are properties that were assessed and hadn't been sold need to come up.
Oh, yeah. So I guess I'm trying to figure out is, last year on the school districts, the funding for that, does this affect that number?
It never affected it last year either. That was all complete chaos. It doesn't, the only thing that affects the funding for the school district is if you hit the mill levy cap, because you levy in dollars. So the mill levy cap, let's just say a mill is worth right
Where's our mill
now.
worth, by the way?
It doesn't matter. Let's just say, but it doesn't matter. If you haven't hit the cap, you're supposed to levy in dollars. And by us moving from 96% to 93%, the school had not levied enough dollars to reach their cap. So it didn't make any difference. They got the same amount of money they would have got anyway. And
It just took more mills to get it there because the mill's worth less.
but there was enough room to get it.
So, yeah,
For that, for that.
The
for last
potential
year.
spending wasn't available.
right.
But what about in the future, though?
So you're asking that if we move the
That's my,
residential down, is that going to affect the value of the mill? Is that what your question is?
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, that or the ag side I'm looking at, Majority of the taxes is at the ag side, you know that.
Hmm?
You know, that's when
The
majority of
states-
the money comes from.
The
state
state
does-
sets the value,
Yeah,
and we
for the
set the
minimum.
percentage where.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you want to get this moving, John, you probably should make the motion.
Well, I'm letting them think, I mean,
You can either vote yes or no on it. You know what you want.
well, what do you want?
So make your motion.
I make a motion we approve the valuations, to move the commercial, residential, and agricultural valuations to 90%. This will decrease the recommended valuation on the commercial by 6%, raised by 6%, decrease the residential by 2%, and decrease the agricultural by 5%.
Motion by John to move the valuations of Griggs County to the 90 percentile with a 6% increase in commercial, a reduction of residential by 2%, and reduction in agricultural properties by 5%. Is there a second? Is Mark with us?
It's probably yelling in the phone.
Hold on, Mark. Let me jack you up again. The volume. Mark, can you hear us? Hello? You by now finally has a
A
sound.
little bit. I don't hardly hear much, I'll tell you that.
Okay, so John made a motion. I'll let Dale read the motion.
Motion by John to set the taxable values of true and fulls of Griggs County at 90% of assessed value. So that'll raise commercial properties 6%, reduce residential 2%, and reduce agricultural 5%. That'll put everything at 90% of assessed value.
So that those values went up that much in 1 year is what you're saying? Remember, because they were at 90% last year, 90 and a half or something.
What happened was the commercial properties that sold for a little more than assessed value, so that has to come up.
Yep.
The residential properties sold for a little less than assessed value, so they need to come down.
Okay?
And agricultural is the same, to keep everything at 90 like we had done the
Like we did
last year and all the years prior, we've
Yep.
done that, so.
Yep. It'll still be more dollars because it'll be a larger levy.
But anyway,
Because it'll, not a levy, I should say, it'll be a larger, what a mill is worth a mill.
Taxable value.
Because of the
Yeah.
valuations have gone up and we're going to get 90%. So,
right,
just like we were before.
sure.
Correct?
Yeah, we're looking for second on the motion. Hello. Did I lose you?
I'll second that motion.
This is tentative, of course, on the state approving this. They might change the valuation. They have the ability to do that.
Okay, motion is seconded by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
No.
Mark?
Aye.
Mark votes aye. Stephanie?
All right.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
One quick note as long as we're on this. So any increase or decrease in valuations limits the amount of money that the entity can, any tax entity can collect. So in our discussions here on the elevator, when we get to that, by allowing a decrease or non-payment of those property taxes, that will decrease the monies available to all taxing entities. So it goes directly in relation to this. If this year we added that elevator into it, would increase the valuations by $75,000, which gives more money available to the schools and to the taxing entities. So that's how all this affects each other. Everything affects each different entity.
Is that everything for the tax equalization?
We usually keep it open.
In case, let's go over the sales ratio stuff.
Oh, well, that's exactly the same numbers that was on the,
That's the residential.
Yep.
Okay, okay, that's the product of that study.
yep, the numbers, the 86 and the 92 you got from the sales ratio.
Thank you, Steph, for doing that.
You're welcome.
So did you use every sale, or did you throw some out because of,
I threw many out.
okay,
We had to take some sales from years before because you have to have so many commercial, so many residential.
because of the 19 reasons for,
There's 23.
there's 23 now, okay.
There's
so-
23. So
Yeah.
a lot of them you couldn't. These sales that we had this last year, a lot of them you couldn't because there was a lot of going from families and stuff. So or sales that were directly. I mean, it wasn't on the market.
And it's, as you noticed, when you do that, it isn't hard in concrete whether it should go or not. It's kind of a judgment call, and that's the way it should be.
Yep. So
So like our township had one sale and it was excluded.
it was. It was like, oh, that was done. You know?
You know, because that makes it easy.
23 of them.
Is that 23?
I think when we started out, I think there was 11.
There was a lot of them, and one of them, the 23rd, is open, so you can put in the reason why you excluded it.
Yeah.
Well, it could just be it was an unusual property that garnered more money than, you know.
Yeah, the ones that really stood out and you questioned the most, but yeah, Connie was great help. Connie helped a lot on that. Thank you so much, Connie. And
Well, there's not enough information when they fill out a deed to answer a lot of those things.
well, technically, the tax director has a form that they send out to whoever sells it, so they can fill out the information, and that what's on that form, the information, you can just have that form and you just type that in. You'll know exactly how to fill out your spreadsheet, because the questions on there on that questionnaire from the sale is right there.
A lot of the counties have that filled out when they go to register the deed. So when they register the deed, they fill the form out so that becomes part of the information. We don't do that.
So
Because it can't be mandatory.
no, so it's she was handy.
Very
Because
good.
you can opt out of giving any information.
You don't even have to, if you do a quit claim deed, you don't even have to get the
Just
price.
close the price, yeah.
Those aren't included anyways.
No, they can't be because they're,
So
but that's why we don't have that form filled out, is because it can't be mandatory, so it doesn't really mean much.
Is there anything else we need to do for tax equalization at this point, or should we just recess until our
We
next?
just recess until the state determines whether or not
I motion to recess.
they, yeah.
Motion by Stephanie to recess the tax equalization meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion?
Don't we usually revisit?
Actually, she said after the 10th, whether you leave your meeting open or not, it doesn't matter. It becomes to nothing. So
Oh,
Well, technically, but the state has run past their deadlines before, and we've had to raise valuations on the agricultural land.
so
Because they ran past their deadline and ours were closed, and then, yeah. So, we can
But-
let it expire. But there's always a possibility that the state might do something, look at what we did and say, no, we don't agree with that, and it comes back to us to fix it again.
yeah, because we have 10 days for equalization to get it done the first 10 days of June, and today's the 9th,
Yeah.
and then so. But yeah, you can. I mean, leave it open doesn't matter, but it's just the sake that.
But, because now they take ours,
Mhm.
and now they throw it into the whole state equalization. And they have the ability to change anything we've done.
Mhm.
And we've had a lawyer from the state tell us he can't take the century code literally. So.
Yes, Linda was amazing help at the state.
Yeah.
So I have absolutely nothing negative to say about them. She was wonderful help with doing the sales ratio.
Yep, it looks like from what you did, it looks, and the way you handled it, it looks like that's the way it's supposed to be done. Now, keep in mind, it always hasn't been the state's posture on this. There was a Linda before this that was not beneficial to the counties.
Yeah, she was wonderful. And
But-
again, I'm not really qualified to do a sales
you
ratio,
are.
is what she told me. No, no, I'm not.
You can add, subtract,
And
qualified.
and so, yeah, she's.
If a CPA isn't qualified to do a
Yeah.
mathematical formula, I don't know who is. So.
Right.
No, and evidently it was done, I mean, it only moved the needle 2% on to 6%. I mean, it must have been done correctly.
So, okay.
Well, thank you, Stephanie,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, Connie, for your work on this. And
And then they need to submit vouchers so we can pay them, both for the work that's.
Well, she already done.
Steph did, that was in your
Hers is
bills
in
there.
Already paid her.
Yeah.
we were voting on recessing. We never got that
Yes, I make a motion to recess.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Tax equalization in Griggs County is recessed. Can we reopen our regular meeting without a motion?
Yeah, you just reconvene the meeting.
Or reconvene the county commission meeting?
Connie?
I just wanted, if you want to talk about the abatement while I'm here,
Oh.
I'll answer any questions.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can,
Yeah, we'll do that now. We'll skip ahead one part.
Are you counting days down?
yeah. But right now, my daughter's having a baby, so I'm sitting here.
So everything was in place? Everything was correct?
Third one. Yes,
Yeah, it was signed by the,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and they have the minutes from the city council meeting and everything was in there, so that's.
Okay, I'll motion to accept the abatement.
Motion by Stephanie to accept the tax abatement for property 2240060545200 in the city of Hannaford. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark? Don't have Mark. Stephanie?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. It's the first.
You don't have to come back.
The 2018 and 2019 audit.
So you guys have been getting my emails about the state auditor's office. They got their report to us. And so they are looking for comments. But I did have a visitor come in and speak to me a few weeks ago. Mr. Rotunda came in,
Really?
and
Wow.
he gave me the email that is in your packet. He sent this off to the auditor's office, and has gotten no response back as of when I talked to him. He said that he is doing audits right now, and he submitted Barnes County school districts, and from what he told me, the state auditor's office approved it. He said they don't have any basis for why they did what they did to him.
So he's kind of wanting you guys to say no to the state auditor's office and have him file the reports. He's ready to file our 18 and 19 and basically see what happens. What I think is we could just do that and submit his and see what happens. If they say no, then we go with what they do. But I was a little kind of taken back because I did ask the auditor's office for a printout to say what happened, why they are doing what they did, and I asked for this 3 times and did not get a response back. I don't know if that was, they were just overlooking it. I don't know, but it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. But it's up to you guys of what you would like to do. He does have another auditor that is going to do this, is going to say, no, we're not going to take the state's report. We'll file Harold's and just see what happens.
Is the state done with their report?
It's in here, yeah.
And
is there?
so the state found nothing wrong with Harold's audit. The state overwhelmingly recommended one auditing firm. This wasn't not just Griggs County. This was statewide against Harold. They overwhelmingly recommended one auditing firm to replace Harold, and then audited Harold and didn't find any discrepancies anywhere with his audit process.
But he's 2 years late. He didn't get 18 on time, and he didn't get 19 on time either. Or
I
right?
think you can be a 2 years or something like that behind, but
So-
or I don't know how
And-
that all
and-
works.
and
But I know
they-
he's filed our audits late
Yep.
in the past, but I don't.
Has he always? I mean, I'm just.
I mean, he
as somebody
does-
Who practices always being late on filing audits? I'm pretty sure I wouldn't want that doing my paperwork if you're habitually late.
But, right, you have to remember though that this audit process we've been through so many times, the state just goes rubber stamp whatever comes in there. I think this is more a good old boy network where the auditing firm that works for the state was a little perplexed that Harold was out here cutting their prices by
So,
If you don't want,
$3,500 and they decided to get rid of them.
if you don't want Harold to do it, if you don't want the state to do it,
We had to go with the state.
find
Yeah,
somebody
okay.
else besides Harold.
Yeah.
Find a different auditor.
Yeah.
Why?
The-
Can there be different
through this process, the state auditor's office said we're not even giving you a choice.
Oh, okay.
We're taking you
yeah,
over.
correct.
Now,
But we got, have we got billed for it from the state yet? So we're getting billed from the state, right?
$28,000. They're estimating it to be $28,000.
Plus the fact, that we haven't never paid, we paid Harold $11,000 yet from before?
No, we
we'd
have
to
not
pay
put
him
that one.
too.
So we haven't paid him either.
Huh?
We'd have to pay him too for 18
Right.
and pay the state for doing it.
No,
No.
no, we don't have to pay him. We pay him for,
The work he's already done, it was accepted.
correct.
So that'd be the 18 and 19 audit.
He didn't bill us for the other years.
So what just
So
comes, yeah, so
why did he-
Okay,
do we wanna
you
keep
follow-
paying
you follow what I'm saying.
$28,000 every year for an
No,
auditor?
I understand it.
Yeah.
I'm saying what, so we haven't paid anybody then, or Harold or the state yet?
But we owe the state.
We owe the state.
They owe the state for, they came in and looked at
This spring.
Harold, 2 audits and they're gonna charge us $28,000 and didn't find any mistakes.
But what
Were they
the,
old audits? There were audits that Harold didn't submit yet.
No,
Correct.
these were old ones that he
this
had.
was for 18 and 19.
Okay.
He's got our audits done. Like he said, I can file them today
Of 18 and
of
19.
18 and 19s.
This-
He
what-
says, I'll file them today and see if they accept them. Because what he's saying is they had no reason to say that they wouldn't accept them, is what Harold said.
And what years did the state audit for us? then?
18 and 19.
18 and 19.
18, 19. And the letter that they sent to us initially saying they were coming was because of why?
That's what Harold's saying.
What,
So we get
I'm
the
saying the
audit.
letter
But-
that they gave us. The letter that they
They
gave us.
they never gave us a letter to explain what actually happened
I don't
and
need an
what.
explanation, but they were saying they're coming in to do our audits, right?
Right.
Right.
And what did that letter state?
It didn't give a reason, that was it. They basically they said that they were banning Harold from doing any business with the state.
And that they were going to take over.
And
It
they
was
were gonna take over, but, which made it seem like there was some problem, but then when we actually have them do the audit, no problem exists. And the state now has accepted an audit from Harold after the fact. Again, I think this was dirty politics.
Also, he did submit our 1819.
he didn't submit ours. He submitted the Barnes County,
Barnes County North.
North School.
But they
The
put in-
auditor's office says he's banned. They were not accepting any audits from him. But
So-
Barnes County North submitted an audit from him, and the auditor's office accepted it, basically saying that they had no reason to ban him, from what Harold said.
We're not out anything by letting Harold turn in these audits. If they accept him, then he's in good standing with the state.
Let's stay, okay, yeah.
And then we can move forward from there depending on what price he presents.
So can we go back to Harold then?
Well, I would assume that we never
Or
should have been forced to
Go with the
leave
state.
Harold out in the cold, I think. But I don't know
That's the thing is, like, I don't,
There's
Harold,
lots of things we don't know about this whole.
Thing.
So the way to find out about it is, let's just rehire Harold and let them come in. If Harold is truly, and the state is the overseer of all this, and Harold is truly a problem, then the state will come in and remove him.
Aren't you guys already frustrated with Harold because he
Yeah.
doesn't bill on time, he
Yeah.
doesn't get things on
Remember
time?
Yep.
I mean,
but,
you guys.
but he's
but he's 4,000.
ridiculously cheap.
You don't get as good as you pay for. Is that what you're saying? That's when you're buying things.
No, but we don't use the audit for anything. This is just a confirmation of what we've already done.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
And we don't use it for anything, and the state doesn't use it for anything. They put the big rubber stamp on it when it goes in there. They've rubber stamped Harold's audits for the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with Harold until all of a sudden, I believe, there was some chumming up to some other auditing firms and they decided to get rid of Harold. Because it wasn't just us, they tried to ban him statewide.
Yep, they did ban him. They said that they banned him statewide.
Problems too, yes.
Anyway, I see
Anyway.
problems with the state's audits.
So do I. I see huge problems with the state audit. Go ahead, you probably see the same ones I do.
No, but they've got us as bonds payable, so we don't have any bonds. So
No.
they say that's misclassified. Well, they misclassified it because we don't have any long-term debt.
No, and they're trying to use the debt on this facility.
You want to say, what is that classified as?
It's a lease.
It's a lease.
It's a lease.
It has to be because it
Oh.
never made the bar of getting approval
Approval by
from.
the bonding agency.
No,
No.
by the citizens. The citizens have to approve
Long-term debt.
long-term debt. Yeah.
Bond.
It never did. So the legislature had created a loophole, and that's the loophole that was used. So this is a lease, so we don't accrue any equity,
Oh.
and we do not have any long-term debt.
And as a consequence of that, our insurance is about, what,
$30,000.
$30,000 more
every year.
every year.
Because
It's
a
because we
lease,
can't be insured by the state fire and tornado fund.
which is cheaper than most other forms.
Oh, it's, yeah, $30,000 difference.
Yeah.
So the state says, on one hand, that we don't own this building.
So
This
we
is owned
can't
by the
insure
building
it.
authority, so we can't insure it
Correct.
because we don't own it. On their audit, the state says, you need to list it as a long-term debt and you need to list the equity on your balance sheet because you own it.
No, right, I agree. That's
Yeah.
wrong.
So if we own it, then the state fire and tornado fund better refund us $30,000 for the last 7 or 8 years.
Years, you know.
Right.
And if we don't own it, they better leave it the way it is. So,
That's an easy fix on
I
that.
mean, yeah. But I don't see where we would put ourselves in any peril if we hired Harold, and if the state thinks he's a menace, they'll come in and get rid of Harold.
You know, if the auditor wants to use Harold, auditor, you can have Harold. Seriously, that's, I mean,
I mean,
I'm not gonna micromanage you. If you want that auditor and you like working with that auditor,
So-
you can work with
so-
that, I will let you work with the auditor.
The
Well, it
bonds,
depends on if you guys want to take a fight and take a hard stance
I don't
for
think I'll
Harold.
fight
Like,
with
do we want to say no? We're not going to accept this report right now, and we're going to submit 18 and 19s of Harold's and just see what happens, see if they do approve it. If they don't approve it, then we'll accept, or deal with this. Or do you want to deal with this and then go back to Harold? That's kind of what the situation is. Like,
Do you have a copy of Harold's? Did you compare Harold's audit to this audit? Do I have a copy of Harold's audit?
no,
Nobody's got one.
no. He's basically asking, would you guys take a big stance like that?
Only, I'd like to compare his audit to what they come up with.
Okay. Do you want me to grab that or ask him for that?
So we
Yeah,
haven't
I-
actually seen Harold's audit for 18-19. We have never seen it.
No.
You haven't.
I think we're getting wrapped around the axle here on what an audit for a private entity or a business looks like compared to what an audit for government looks like, and they're two completely different animals. The auditing firm that did this audit here evidently does not do government audits because of the equity issue with the building. They don't even understand government finance.
But that was the state that came in though, correct? That was state
Do you want me to
auditors?
print it right now, or do you want me
No,
to
it was
send
a
it to you
firm,
to
it was a
review
firm that
later
works for
and
the
send
state.
it?
Oh, it wasn't actual state audit, it was,
State auditors can't find directions out of Bismarck.
the people that were
I
here,
don't-
in your office was.
Are we in a hurry to make a decision
No,
on what
we're
to do with
not.
Harold? Okay, so then I motion
Table it.
to table that, because there's just,
When's the audit due?
it was due a long time ago, because we're all late.
They messaged, or the state auditor's office messaged me this morning to ask if we had any
Questions?
agrees or disagrees.
Well, you do have disagrees, so yeah, you do.
Yeah, we've got disagrees.
You've got disagrees as to where they coded things. I always had disagrees where auditors code things at first, like it's like,
Do you want me just to tell her that we tabled it and we'll discuss it at the next meeting, just to kind of help them a little?
Yeah.
well, you can tell me your disagreements with the audit, but
Again, it doesn't really matter unless they find fraud, what's on a audit for a public entity like this, because we don't get to use equity for anything. We don't borrow money against equity. All these things that they put on this audit are irrelevant to the finances of the county.
well, what I don't want to do is sit there and say, yeah, nix theirs and to pick Harold's and submit Harold's and it get declined.
Why?
Well, then we're not paying Harold and we're paying these people.
No, we can send Harold's in, and we would certainly have every reason to not pay Harold if his audit was declined. Absolutely.
He still did the work.
Well, he's done the work now.
I have them. I have the 18 and 19s.
Well, that's fine. I just-
Yeah, so
and we haven't paid him. And
When did
they,
you receive the 18 and 19s? Just recently?
19s I received December 7th of 2020, and 18s I received that one on September 13th of 2019.
Yep.
And you submitted them then? Or you
No.
did?
He
He
does.
submits
He
those.
submits them on our behalf.
Oh, and he just didn't.
So I have them, and I've submitted
so why
them
did you
to.
give them to you and not give them to the state? That's just silliness. But anyways, that's
we don't even
irrelevant.
know if he did or not. That's my point. Maybe he submitted them. He hasn't had his day in court here.
I'm gonna.
Okay,
We'll table that bad boy.
table this whole audit business until our next meeting, is that our motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to table the 2018 and 2019 audit until our next regular commission meeting. Is there a second? Seconded by John. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Finley Farmers tax exemption, that's kind of an FYI of the, so if everybody looks at that, we're good.
Okay.
employee benefit broker.
Okay, so we have different brokers. We have different places that we go through for benefits for the employees. Farmers Union came in to talk to us, and that is who we have our dental and vision through. And he asked if we would like him to be our broker for all of our benefits. So he would take over our AFLAC, everything that does not change any of the benefits to the employees. It just changes the point of contact. So when we have open enrollment, we'll have one gentleman come to be here for the employees and not 5. I just wanted to let you guys know and see if you guys had any disagreements with any of that.
Does it involve any financial
No.
burden on the county?
No.
Then I think it should be a decision of the employees, correct?
No, yeah, you do your thing. We have all of ours. We have Voller does all of ours.
Okay.
But I mean, that should be a vote of the employees, and
Yep, you guys manage it, not us.
as long as the taxpayers aren't burdened by it.
Yep. Oh, he finally gave up on us. Okay. So it's up to you if you want to have one. So.
Yeah. City of Cooperstown's letter of support.
The city of Cooperstown contacted me. They wish that we would put this on a county letterhead and have you guys sign it. I don't know what the project is. Yeah. That's all the information I got.
Oh, the city is continuing they're continuing it because fill me in on the zone. Is this just paperwork that they need to have for their
I think so.
for their zone stuff?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, the Renaissance zone there's many different forms of it, but the most popular form of it is an abatement of property taxes.
Yeah.
So, in some instances, the state came in and picked up those property taxes, so it wasn't a burden to the rest of the citizens.
Yep.
I'm in favor of that. I'm definitely not in favor of giving people property tax exemptions and then having the rest of the citizens pick up the cost of it. So unless they can specify that, we're kind of giving their support for something and letting them fill in the blanks.
Well, it's still continuing the same thing. Is that what they're already doing? It says continuing in the zone project.
Yep.
So they've already been continuing. You must have approved it once already, and they're continuing to do it.
So if somebody robs a bank, we should let them keep robbing banks. I mean, there's some things in this climate that we can't keep excluding people from paying property tax and putting the burden back on the people that are left.
So you want them to
Well,
find
I mean,
out.
you-
So
it'd be nice to have-
what she said is the city is renewing the Renaissance Zone Plan, and one of the requirements is a letter of support from the county. I've attached an example for you. Please print on your letterhead and return to me. Thanks. That's
So
all.
I'd like to see the Renaissance zone plan and see who picks up the deferred property taxes.
They could just defer the city's portion of the tax.
No, I don't know
Well,
that.
we don't know that, of course.
I don't know that. I mean, there's so many different versions of it. See, like Cass County, when they were deferring all the properties in downtown Fargo, when Fargo was deferring all the properties downtown Fargo, some of that was county-wide.
Yeah.
And that caused a big stink because the rest of Cass County didn't like
Supporting it.
And I don't know if this is that way or not, but if we're going to put our weight behind it, we should certainly know what we're.
Get a little more information on that.
It might be a good deal. I mean, the property taxes that we defer for the senior citizens and the veterans, that's all picked up by the state. There's no loss to the treasury at all of Griggs County. That's
Yeah,
a win-win.
I'd like a little bit of information on how that Renaissance zone works before we say we like it.
Perfect. Just have her.
And I don't even know who used it. And
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
Nothing that I have.
Do we have any future business?
You'll start budget next meeting.
so the budgets out to the departments now?
Correct. Yep. All departments have their budgets, and I've asked that they be back to my office by next Friday. I will be using the next week to be putting all the numbers in, and we'll have them for you at your next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting I'll for sure have to be in Zoom.
Perfect.
So
You got it.
this time I was gonna have to, but I wasn't able to get down. Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Stephanie to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Seconded by Scott. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 3:56 p.m. Next meeting is Thursday, June 23rd. And I believe we have a hearing for the farmer's elevator tax exemption 1 hour prior
1:30.
at 1:30.